is the chat app. There you are. Open in browser. So I have that, and also Facebook. So let's pause you because I don't need you playing, just the comments going. So that's good. And Stream Beats. There we go. And that should be nice and chill. Got my tea in hand. Drawings are ready. So I'm a little bit behind. Oh, that's right. I should probably maybe get music like doubled up here. Let's pause you. Forgot that I need to put you on headphones. I'm here like getting ready to like get into the groove of it. I apologize about that. Yeah, I was just driving into another secret project before getting into this. Some, and just let me know if it's a little on the loud side. I could do some little tweaks. Okay, so working on this concept piece. Yesterday I actually spent a little bit of time getting kind of like the floor plan organized, and with that, even brainstorming a couple of different buildings, and I'm gonna work on some tree elements, like all the different pieces, just to think of the shape language for it. So with that, I am actually going to let's export JPEG and version 3. Oh, I already have that exported. Okay, cool. So I'm going to open this copy up on my other monitor as reference. Oh, and the music's... Alright, so let's play you on Spotify so you're not just gonna play the first song and then stop. And ooh, there we go. And hit play. Let's turn shuffle on. And let's just skip to get to another one. So don't need you on. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so let's get back to this. So I'm going to open up a copy on the other monitor of this image file so that I can hide this. And so liner, and this one's the floor plan. And what I want to do is I have these basic structures that I want to make sure that I get some design work in for. And let's not cover up chat. And okay, so kind of want these like cool roundish buildings. I want some asymmetry to them, and I'm just dealing with them like super flat for right now, and just getting some ideas on the concept of it. So like a door right here with like a little doorknob, and maybe like one window over here, and maybe like an oblong one with some curtains. And you know, maybe this one it's like open. This one seems like it doesn't need any stability. And so it's going to be kind of like wood paneling. And yeah, so like right now it's just exploring some shapes, having some fun with it. And I should really keep in mind, oh yeah, so I have a list of different different possible building structures hiding behind there. In case you are curious. And so maybe this one's like off center a little bit. And these could be just like boards that are just like poking out, and therefore like support. And maybe this door is off on the side. And some more supports. So just kind of feeling out the contour of it all. maybe like this long window. Maybe it has a little windowsill. Maybe this one too. And I'm thinking these buildings are kind of made out of like clay or mud kind of structure for the outside. Has some wood paneling for framework to a degree, and wood for like these roofing. And just want to make sure that I'm getting it all in frame. And what are you? Oh, right, you're that. And you know, maybe this one's a little too off on the side. And has some wooden paneling supports. Actually, it feels like it would be a little more on this side. So I know for like a game, having a village kind of like with these kinds of shapes isn't really the greatest, because you can't just make some parts and piece them in as easily like a boxier kind of place. But I want it to look nice at the very least first. Some nice design. So there might be like a window up here. Maybe there's a window that's open up over on this side. Actually, maybe it's just like the whole entire thing swings in one direction. And like on the inside, there's just like stairs that go up. Okay, so smithy. Let's take a look at smithy. And kind of an open place. With anvil, workbench, that kind of stuff. So what if we still start off with some interesting kind of shape? Maybe it's uneven in this kind of regard. Ooh, actually, let's take a look at, so an anvil. Something in like anvil shape first, but we'll round it out. Just to soften it up some, get it similar in the shapes. And maybe just like fairly opened up. And so anvil on a bench and like a little forge area, so we can have like his kind of his tools and whatnot, and maybe kind of see some stairs that wrap around that lead up to an upper floor area. Maybe that's where like he just sleeps in the upper stair area. That's his like home. And feels like there should be a window over here. And I think overall, these are like a little on the tiny side. Because maybe like a person stands about yay tall. So let's see here. I start moving these. Yeah. It's looking okay. Let's shrink these down a little bit more. So there's enough room to fit this guy over to the edge. A little bit more. All right. So smithy. So boom, you're checked off. We can have this as kind of the tavern, maybe. And I don't need that open for right now. What else? I would say just like a generic house. House 1. House 2. Or this could be like the mayor's house. Because it seems like this has an extra floor to it, and I could just make this taller. Make it fancier. There's more space to it. And can make this one like a little bit more squat in order to help contrast against that. Oh, there's my tea. So how's everybody doing today? Alchemist. I'm thinking like a bottle kind of shape. You can use that for like the alchemist shop. And maybe it has like a chimney. So it kind of looks like a potion bottle. At least that's the intent. And someone standing about that tall. So I could just make the you know, the door might face a little bit more towards that front area. I just don't want it to be right on center. Because that'll be boring. We want to make some excitement out of it. And so this can be the alchemist shop. Hey, how's it going? I am just sketching up some random buildings. Well, not quite random, just getting some shapes in. I got a list of these different types of structures in this town. Last night I spent a little bit of time just doing kind of a floor plan of the town. Smithy, fishing lodge, alchemist, shop, tavern, church, hunter's lodge, carpenter, woodcutter, all that kind of stuff. So just kind of thinking of the shapes for these buildings. Right on. Have a good week overall. Okay, what would be... So I got the mayors. And the archaeologist is not from around here, so he's just going to be in a tent. So I could do like the pup tent kind of vibe, which is bland. But we can do kind of more of this kind of tent. And then those get nailed down. And the archaeologist. And I think the archaeologist would be like a cool NPC to have, where it kind of feeds some information of the lore of the place to the player, and as the player finds some new stuff from inside, can unlock more of the lore of the place, the story. Oh, thanks. And oof. Yeah, that's hopefully it wasn't a deep cut. That can suck. Let's see here. Carpenter, woodcutter, hunter, church, shop, fishing, miner. Okay, so let's think of Hunter Lodge. So it seems like most Hunter Lodges, they kind of look like a cabin in the woods kind of vibe. So how can we use that? It's magic. Yeah, that would be funny. We'll see how it is. Like, it might be something like Animal Crossing, when you go inside like a small house and it looks bigger on the inside for sure. Just like not crazy big, not like TARDIS, but a little bit bigger, just for there to be some movement space for the player. And what if I'm thinking of having like deer or boar kind of being like the generic creatures that are out there. So, so for example, if I go like boar, maybe like a boar's head as like a base, and get like a window over here. And maybe like a deck that's on this side that's just like partially built so it looks like tusks. It's not even complete yet. Yeah, well, like, it's all these buildings, they're in the space, and I kind of want them to these to all share the same shape language for the most part. Like the tent, I'm willing to go a little different because of the guy from being from out of town kind of vibe. But I want like the other buildings kind of feel like they're all from the same place, made in a kind of the same way. So I'm not happy about this one, but we'll come back to that later. Yeah, the idea is down at the very least. There's something for now, and I'll like just put a question mark on it. And let's see here. There's a shop. We kind of want like big space. Maybe just like low and long. You know, I could even make it like a backpack. Kind of deal. And to kind of give that look of these like pouches, maybe they're just like stalls that are like posted up on the outside. So you don't have to enter the building, just see some stuff on the counters, and then there's like these doors that the merchant will go inside in order to collect like any extras that they have on. What is my favorite dish? Oh, that's a good question. I know burritos are up there. Trying to think of like what's something nice and like a little on the light side. And I'd say like a good burrito, like from Burrito Banditos in Toronto. Like they're really really good. There was like this taco truck that I used to get burritos all the time when I was in San Francisco. Oh, so good. Hey Max Magnus. So the main ideas for these buildings, it's I'm making a game project, and I was coming up with some concepts. Here, I'll zoom it out a little bit so you can see like everything. I was coming up with some concept ideas for this village that's at the base of a mountain. And so just like elaborating, building up shapes and playing around with it. And so it's kind of getting on to something like this where it was like these newer organic shaped buildings with these like older angular runes. And here's kind of the floor plan that I came up with last night for this place. And here I'm just thinking of different shapes for the different kinds of shops and whatnot for this like game project. So a random house, possibly the tavern, the mayor's house, a smithy, alchemist shop, hunter's lodge, and this will just be like a regular shop. So just trying to think of some cool shapes that's like very organic and curvy, like as if the buildings, the walls are made out of a framework and mud or clay or something along those lines. And the roofs are just like wood paneling with some boards that are sticking out, but just to get these like nice, cool, interesting silhouette shapes out of it. So just kind of going through. I'm not 100% happy with the Hunter's Lodge, but I am liking this shop. But there's like a church to still think of, the miner's place, a forger. And I wanted to think of, because like the game, I wanted like some resource gathering for some basic crafting, like for potions, weapon, and shield. I do have the main character designed up, so I can show you what she looks like. So here's her with her shield and her sword that's sheathed into the shield. And well, like the to traverse to get to the top of the mountain, you have to go through like this dungeon that's on the inside. Like I'm gonna make it so that the outer part of the mountain's too dangerous to traverse just by like climbing on the outside. You have to like go through an adventure on the inside, and it might poke out a little bit here and there. But because of the resource gathering, I want to have it where if you have some money, you could just go to like the miner and just pay for the miner to get ore that you could go out and collect, or you could just save yourself some time if you're fairly wealthy, kind of deal. So I'm trying to think of what are the different resources that I want the player to gather, and then let's build like someone else for the town probably has that kind of job in order to supply the basics of those things for the townsfolk as well. And burrito, yeah, with being like a good beef or steak or chicken. It depends on like I like the variety, but like definitely like some nice flavorful spice, not just like heat, but like a good flavor for spice for like a salsa and jalapenos and all that. Oh, it's so good. I'm just too lazy to make burritos lately because it takes so much time. But I make pizza like once a week. It's usually on Saturdays, so. So woodcutter, maybe like a tree stump. So I'll start off with like a tree stump shape, and then let's curve it out. Yeah, so right now, Max Magnus, I'm just planning out the town. I'm doing all the concept art for it, just in order to get a general idea of what I'm getting myself into. And then I have like a game plan for when I start coding and everything. And like coding's not entertaining on the stream, and I love drawing, so I figure I'll do the concept art on the stream, and on the side later on, once I get to the point of coding, then I can like show work in progresses while doing some more of the concept stuff. And in the end, I can have a cool little art book that maybe I only am able to code for like a demo level of the game, but I can still finish all the concept art for it and put out like an art book, do some cool like illustrations of it, release the demo out to people to try and play around, and some fun stuff. So maybe this, where this is kind of like coming towards us. And maybe this is just like a little storage or something. And let's give it its own like little mini roof. But yeah, if you have any questions, ask away. I'm down with chatting. So yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Ooh, yeah, that's a good choice, and like that can be like easy to tack on, because I could just do like a little line down here and then just like stone kind of deal. But like what I'll do is I'll make a note of that. So stone foundation here, just so you can kind of see right there. Just in case of it, because I also want to like keep in mind the texturing of it. I would just say like, oh yeah, you know, the stone is like underneath. But yeah, like I'm definitely gonna put that down for sure, because it makes a lot of sense. That was the woodcutters. Let's see here. Hunter Lodge. The purpose of the Hunter Lodge, it's kind of like they're getting, if it's dry place, no stone, and no roofs. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think that far. I like the roofs, just having them there just for, like, because it adds to the silhouette. So I'll probably just say, like, yeah, it's wet. So, yeah, and since it's, like, clay or mud, I made sure that there's, like, a lake in order to be able to gather some of it. So that's what this is right here, a lake. And woods, and woods. And here's the mountain. Oh, yeah, okay. So maybe it just like gets a little bit, maybe not like a huge amount. Maybe start off with like, let's look at like a bear sitting. I just saw one where it's like super chunky, like just lounging back. So hilarious. I meant no big roofs. Yeah. So I like this one, where it's like this bear that's kind of like leaning forward. Yeah, and it's a little person standing. So maybe like the doors right here. But yeah, thanks for the information there, Max Magnus. Definitely appreciative of it. Let's get some supports, because this thing is kind of like sticking out there. Hunter Lodge. What would be a good one? Yeah, and it could even be like brick that is laid out in this way, and then kind of like a mud coating on top, or something like that. Miner. First thing I think of with miner is like a pickaxe, but I don't want to do like a pickaxe. It's too flimsy and thin of a shape. Oh yeah, and that door's a little A little tiny. Let's enlarge it a little bit. So Heather, what's your favorite food? Forager, going to pick plants and berries and nuts. Ooh, sandpit, yeah. Here, let's maybe we could have it as maybe like the area nearby, like the woods are just like out a little ways, and it's just like sandpit. And maybe there's just like a thin stretch. Just kind of like, and so this kind of like extends down. But yeah, this like little area right here is just the outside, kind of like the hub for the player, and almost all the combat stuff will be inside the mountain. It'd be nice to just like have some easy foraging and hunting in like the woods or what have you for like some simple foods, maybe. So it's a thought I'm wrestling with. So forager, picking berries and nuts and flowers and mushrooms. Yeah, let's just do a mushroom shape. So ooh, actually this one could be like a little change of place where it's like a little platform with some more. Yeah, I don't like that. Maybe this one just has like the mushroom cap. And get some structural support. Maybe this is like the forager's house. Kind of need a roof if I want like windows. Because otherwise, like, any water will just like drip down and then fall in because of that curvature. Okay. I'm kind of liking this a little bit more. Forger. Yeah, maybe like another support in the back. Slide you over. So fish, fish, church, carpenter. Do I need a church, or can I just like deal with a hospital or a medic? Well, like I do have like the mayor's house, who's like in charge of this place, and I was thinking like maybe a place for like security or the guard. Um, and like another reason why like I might not get enough time to, because it's just like me right now working on this, and I just kind of want to keep it that way for like the first little while. But like I'm not saying like don't give suggestions. I'm loving suggestions. It's a creative process, right? And I don't expect to get like all these like systems made, because when in doubt I can at least have the NPCs there and possible like quests to get from, right? So I was just like going through like what's necessary for like a town to flourish with systems and like with just like society systems kind of vibe. And just for like quests, I want to keep the town very simple, just so that a lot of the exploration stuff is inside of this dungeon in this mountain, and the dungeon, I want to plan it where it's like a Metroidvania Dark Souls kind of vibe, where it's not just like this floor is level 1 and then you go up some stairs and this floor is level 2. It's a little bit more intermingled. Kind of vibe. So, and like I already have some themes for the floors, and I wanted to do something different than like an elemental theme or whatever, like a lot of the other common ones. So I like the themes that I have chosen out, and I'm not going to reveal them quite yet. I'm going to wait until once I start designing those things. But let's see here. Let's do the fisherman's house, because I just look at fish. Lake fish. And, maybe it's like a fish that is kind of like bent like so. And maybe this one I can play off like the roof, kind of like the other fin. As I round this out. And yeah, well, the idea behind the town, it was built because this place, this like dungeon in this mountain kind of has this mystique about it, and it draws adventurers in, and like some people started arriving just in order to tackle this dungeon, but nobody ever has like gotten through it. And it just gained popularity, and more people keep showing up, and so the town just started flourishing after like a camp. And so it's kind of like simple, everyone kind of gets along for the most part. And there's going to be a couple of adventurers who have attempted but failed, that are just like kicking around town, where you can get some rumors and maybe some information from. But I'm not worried about just like the shape to it. Yeah, I'll have to explore that, because like if I do something that's very, like, I'm still gonna try it, but like if I do something that's like very boxy in shape, it's gonna like really stand out. Like this tent alone, like it really sticks out like a sore thumb, just because of how round and soft everything else looks because of it being like rounded shapes. But I'll still give it a shot. Because, hey, you never know sometimes. It's all about exploration and sketching a lot. So what are you all doing on this fine Friday aside from watching me? Anything cool and interesting? All right. And you and you and you. Got tired of designing houses for my rabbit. For like your pet rabbit? Is it something you're gonna craft? Cool, cool. Okay, so miner. So how goes the Qatar designing house? Have you been like working on it for a couple hours now? Okay, so there's a hard hat with a flashlight, but that's like boring. Shovel. What could I do? Miner. Ooh, a lantern. Can kind of do like one of these kinds of lanterns. Explainer video in a cartoon that goes really bad. Ouch. Well, hope it gets better. Maybe. Like, it'd be cool if there is. You know, it all depends on what I'm able to do. When it comes down to it. Yeah, because it'd be cool if there was, like, fishing, crafting, weapon and shield. It'd be great if there was like multiple weapon types, but I'm just keeping it to sword and shield right now. Crafting potions, maybe meals like food. At least those are my thoughts on that. Wow, your rabbit has quite the personality. And so minor. So that cuts that one out. Breath of the Wild is taken over. Yeah. So you see, like, now that you're not as confused about the gameplay, like, it's so good, right? That you're, like, getting into the zone of it. Oh yeah, that's right. I was looking up church. Oh yeah, it's so good. Did you finally get the paraglider? Got scared of a spider and ended up with a house sent in outer space with Bill for. Oh, hey, you're welcome. Yeah, man. I knew I was forgetting something, like a farm kind of deal. Farm. My initial thought was just that they haven't gotten around to farming yet, or at least my brain just went to last night. Like hunter's lodge will go out and hunt for game. Foragers will gather like berries, and like the woods are like plentiful. And I kind of don't like the sandpit being here, but what I could do is make like this area a sandpit. Yeah, like farms would make sense. So maybe I'll just have some farms back here. Kind of making use out of like some of these spaces. Oh yeah, so the whole world is like open up to you now that you have the paraglider. That's good. Yeah, you know, thanks Max Magnus for reminding me about farms. I don't know why I didn't think of farms. Sometimes like the obvious is just not as obvious. Overthinking is a thing. So I'm seeing some like nice simple church shapes where it's kind of like this with the bell tower area. So let's take that. Oh yeah, well, like at the very least, like I could at least deal with like crops for the farms and farm animals. Maybe I could just like, there's plenty in the woods. It's never a shortage. Or it could be that before they started rounding up animals for that kind of farm, just in order to keep it a little simpler. Because since like I don't have like these very boxy buildings where I can just make a simple little kit that a couple of walls and supports and whatnot and roof pieces can build everything. These are all fairly organic and unique in a lot of ways, so it's going to be hard to kit bash these together. So I'll have to like keep that in mind also when it comes to like modeling in 3D and everything. Little baby silverfish just like fell and landed on my table. And we'll see how it goes. It's one of those like anything can happen. Maybe from the profile. We got like this tower and then the side bit. And maybe here's like the bell tower. Just still have like that essence of a church. Get some. I want to avoid straights. Get some curvature. Gaudy church. Yeah, well, the nice thing is these aren't final designs. These are just like getting some ideas down. So what I like to do is when I'm creating art and doing like designs that are going to be for like a big project is especially take some time to do like an early design, like a design like early, and then sleep on it, see it after like a day or two, so that it's like fresh and new. Transportation, foot or horseback maybe, unless I like design a creature that replaces horses. You know, like how Final Fantasy has like the chocobo. For like pulling wagons and whatnot. But yeah, that'll be something very soon. So I still have like carpenter, quest board. You know what? Let's start. Like I got all the major buildings for the most part. So let's think of some like other elements that'll be just strewn about in town, like the fountain and barrels. Kind of deal. So we want some like, actually I'll just draw them bigger. They're not going to be the scale. But, just some simple barrels. Some crates. I know, ooh. Oh man, that's actually a good idea. Um, that's a good question. I'm gonna write it down as a note. It's getting written off on the side here, just so you can kind of like see it. Bathhouse slash spring, because like that reminds me of Monster Hunter, which is one of the like Monster Hunter Dark Souls are kind of like the ideas that I'm reaching for when it comes to like gameplay mechanics and setup. Like Monster Hunter vibe when it comes to preparation and everything, but a little more Dark Souls-esque for the dungeon crawl aspect. Because that's one thing that I wish that Monster Hunter had like a stronger story and narrative. Because like once you start exploring the island, just like going back to it over and over and over again. Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. I just get bored out of it after a certain point. Oh yeah, crates. That's what I was looking up. So anybody got any cool plans for the weekend? Amphora follows shape of your houses. You can store food in them. Amphora. Oh, Greek jars. Actually, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot more than... well, I'll keep these just in case. But, yeah, thanks for, like, awesome suggestions, everybody. Oh, man. So good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, like, the archaeologist is... he's more for... like, collections. And revealing, because like the archaeologist is there in order to like research this like old ruins and who they belong to and all that kind of stuff. And as you dive into the dungeon, I was thinking like you find some manuscripts or medallion pieces or other little knickknacks or what have you that has some story elements to it, and you bring it back to him and he does like some research and he reveals some like extra story elements based on this place. I keep looking over here because this is where the chat is. I should be looking up there. Sorry. Yeah, and this is why like it's I'm really enjoying the whole streaming and chat thing while creating this, because you can, even though like there's like one creator, it's for anything, that one creator gets a lot of ideas from friends and maybe coworkers on like the day job if they have like a day job or stuff like that, just like to bounce ideas off of. Yeah, like it's the backstory of the mountain and the dungeon and all that kind of stuff, and so it just like adds a little more flavor. So I don't want to directly copy, but we got this nice spout that's 50-50, so like maybe it's just like out and opens up a little bit. Just getting some shape language. Man, I never knew that they were called amphoras. That's awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, so maybe is like a little, even though design wise this would be like bad because like water would collect into that side, but just to get some cool shapes out of it. And maybe the handles are kind of offset. Yeah, with these buildings, I just wanted some like really cool shapes into it. I'm trying to like really stretch my design skills. Yeah, form over function for sure. You know, like this jar technically isn't like functioning as well, but it's still like an interesting shape, and just, you know, just never pour it from that one side. Or just, you know, dump it completely upside down. And oh, and Max Magnus and anybody else who's new on the stream, I stream Fridays and Mondays currently, just because I don't want to go too heavy. And I've only been streaming since like last Friday, and I'm already like, I'm quite happy with how far I've gotten on this thing. So far, which is pretty cool. So I think that is plenty for like the town part. Town pieces. So let's, what are on these layers? Okay, I could delete you, and I could delete you. Yeah. So let's think of, I'm gonna start thinking of some of the like older structures design language overall, since I have these for the town and ruins pieces. Yeah, and the reason why I'm doing these as like separate pieces also, it's so that when I get around to doing modeling, I'm taking a look at these like straight on shapes, and I can model based off of that. And I can even do like some quick like looser models and position them so that if when I'm doing other concept pieces of inside the town or around, I can get the shapes prepared to feel out the environment. Okay, so let's start off with this archway because it's kind of like the first thing that I did, and I just want to make sure I'm like in frame. So okay, so I can go like right up to there. And it's kind of like angled a little bit like so. Yeah, I'm gonna use Blender. I'm gonna be teaching myself Blender while I'm working on it. I've used I've been using Maya for I think it's like at least 13 years now. Man. Oh no, I wouldn't be offended at all. Hey, here, if you want, I'll screenshot that. Boop. And I'll send that over to you. I'll just quickly send it to you on Facebook, because that'll be quick for me. There you are. And image sent. Yeah, like, hey, I'm down with people if it like inspires you to do something. Thumbs up. I am cool with that. And what was yeah, I want to learn Blender just because I'm tired of paying money for Maya. Because the past couple of years I've been purchasing it for myself because I've been building some rigs for this school that I teach at, and I haven't been really like selling the rigs after, so I'm not really making my money back in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just like, I'll start learning Blender, save my pocket, and like I can still use the instructional license for my classes that I teach, but yeah. And I started diving a little bit in Blender earlier on in the week, and like the image you've shown. Oh, this one right here. Here, let's zoom it kind of in between. Thank you very much. Yeah, extrude is such a common one. Like there's a couple of cool things that I like about Blender when I was taking a look at it. It has some nice modeling tools and features for sure. And I know one of my friends who works at Disney now, but in the earlier years of Blender, when we were working on this one TV show together, and he was modeling these like alien bugs, he would use Blender for doing the UV unwrapping because its UV unwrapping tools were like pretty good compared to what Maya had back in like 2007, around there. So yeah, so I want these to feel angular, just to play off on the straights versus curves kind of vibe. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I have my own copy of ZBrush, so that's what I'm gonna be doing for sculpting. And that kind of creation stuff I'll be doing on stream also, and the art stuff, because art's pretty fun to watch sometimes. Like for me, I find that I'm not interesting to watch, but I know when I watch people that I look up to, it's like I geek out because I just like break down exactly how they do things. So, but I'm used to what I do, so. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that, and rigging is going to be I feel it's going to be a big learning curve for me, because I'm nearly done building this tool from Maya to help me out with just speeding up the rigging process, with some Python scripting and stuff. So we'll see how all that goes. And I noticed that it's Python's used in Blender as well, but I like bounced into it and I just couldn't get it right away. So it's very specific for Blender. Once I get used to the flow of it, I think I'll like it. I'm curious if it's animation tools, how different it's going to be compared to Maya. So, and also that's the other thing I have to do, is I have to kind of rewire my brain to not just default this is how Maya does it. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for, actually. So thanks, awesome. Yeah, because I don't want like it all to be like complete stuff, because there's gonna be like some moss that's growing on them and like dangling down just in order to show some age, and like a lot of cracks and all that. I'm not worrying about it on this level right now. Actually, I should put at least some of the dangling stuff, but I'll do the textures and those little details on the larger sized images. But I want, like, I'm just trying to think of, this is going to help me with like generating some ideas of what to position around. Because in the wide shot here, I wanted this this gate right here, and then another similar gate around the entrance, just to help, at least with this concept piece, give you the idea of distance from here all the way to back there. And then the main character is down here, in case you didn't see her yet. She's like super tiny, and there's no change in line thickness. And I didn't clean it up yet because I wanted to go through this process today of playing around with the shape language a little bit more before I tighten up the drawings. Yeah, it's just getting used to how to set up like IK limbs with stretchiness, stuff like that, and how to go about with constraints. Because like I do constraints in a certain way. Like I was taught by someone who used to work at DreamWorks back in the day, and I love the setup of it. And it's just a matter of, because it's like one way that works for all possibilities of constraints. So it's just a matter of, can I reproduce that, and is it still a viable thing in another software? So, but yeah, and like in the end, I will be selling like the model packs as well online. And I think that would be like fun and interesting, having people like play around with the various stuff. So maybe there is a pillar that's kind of like broken, and like this is the top piece and this is the bottom piece. And I want to think rule of thirds. That actually is going to be angled like so. Maybe this one's like a little bit layered in a way. But yeah, if you happen to have any suggestions or ideas, I'm down with that. Yeah, I gave it up and moved to 2D with rigs and After Effects. Oh, okay, yeah. I've messed around with After Effects rigs for a little while. Like I love drawing. I've worked on a lot of TV shows with Flash, a good handful in Harmony. I teach Harmony, but I prefer either traditional or 3D. And like the different 2D softwares, they have their merits. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's all preference, and I've hit the experience point where I could be a little bit more picky. So, but if there's like a show that I'm like, I really want to work on it, and it's in After Effects, I'll deal with it. For sure. So, but yeah, After Effects has some cool elements in there. I got to mess around with it working at a game studio when I was living in San Francisco for a short while. It was a lot of fun playing around and trying out various things. Let's even that out some. Let's look up some ancient ruins. Get some research material going. Ooh, that's right. Could be like some larger, like, pillar archways. Oh yeah, for sure. It's funny though that they use Maya for their production. Like they all use just like 3D when they like I was surprised they didn't do something like Harmony or Flash or After Effects for their show. They just went from like the cardboard stuff into 3D, and they have some like pretty good shaders in order to keep it like very very simple, making it look like paper in a way. But I haven't seen it in a couple of for a couple of seasons now, and just because I don't have was it Comedy Central it's playing on or Adult Swim? No, it'd be I think Comedy Central. And I don't watch TV on the TV anymore. I haven't since college for the most part. But yeah, like South Park is awesome. I love it. It's such a good show. It's so well written. But yeah, it was really interesting seeing them starting to make more use out of the 3D space. I could see that. Yeah. Let's have it kind of like connect into there. Maybe widen the base a little bit. Yeah. Well, the other cool thing about them doing it in Maya is I don't know if they use the same rigs for their games, but it would have made things a lot quicker and easier for sure. And because of the games, they finally organized of where their houses were set up in the town itself. Yeah, that's the only thing that just I would never work on South Park just because I wouldn't be able to handle how heavy their production pipeline is. Like from script, because like since they're doing a script while the animators are working, and I've worked on too many productions where just like so many changes happen all the time, and it just feels like nothing ever gets done because you're just reanimating the same general scene over and over and over again. Oh, it's brutal. Oh yeah, for those of you on Twitch, I'm talking to Max Magnus, who's chatting on YouTube. In case you're curious of who I was talking to. And let's maybe like break this up a little bit. Yeah, so seeing some of these runes that are like carved into these like cavern sides, that's some pretty interesting, cool shapes from there. Jin wants squirrels. That and also, oh, let's pause you. Why are you? Yeah, show comments. Thanks, Rocky. Yeah, it's so Rocky. It's a game project I'm gonna create in Unity, and I'm just like doing some design works for it right now. But here's the main character. Yeah, for some reason the comments aren't updating in a friendly way on Facebook. I guess maybe I should add like the chat. There you go. Got a little chat thing going right there. Though I think it's only going to show. It only likes to show like Twitch and YouTube on that one. But I will make note of squirrels just for Jen. It's noted. But yeah, like right now I'm trying to think of like these cool like angular runes that are about whatever this backstory of this dungeon inside of a mountain is, that is like the base of the game. And it'll contrast nicely with all these like round organic buildings of the village that's coming up. Da, 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 da. Oh, jeez. Like, let's shrink this down a little bit more so we can get a little more space here, because I don't want to keep it even. Avoiding parallels. But yeah, this weekend I plan on diving a little bit on cleaning up these drawings here and getting her turnaround done, or at least started. But yeah, so let's go back to the reference stuff. So what if just like this steep mountain space and this is the path, and these like structures that are just built in. Let's think rule of thirds just to break it up a little bit and have like this big large entranceway where, you know, characters standing tall is probably maybe even smaller than that. So I want these to feel like monumental. So like maybe like that tall as a person. The main entrance to enter. Let's get some like cool statues. It's like flanking. View above to the person with. Yeah, I might do something like that as a later concept. I like right now. I'm just kind of like planning out some ideas of these structures and whatnot. Cause like I'll explore that for sure. I'm just trying to I'm just getting ideas down of what, because the exterior I want it to kind of, since it's the first thing the player's going to see before entering, it's kind of important of like the design of it. And but yeah, like flanking creatures for sure of some sort. So like maybe these things are just like whatever was like the people of the previous civilization that was there that created this place. You know, like he'd be like these super wide dudes. And just like all these like crazy angular. Maybe there's like a broken archway where the top's kind of like toppled over to the side, but like a piece of like this section fell down. And just a couple of other like broken pieces. So there's the horizon line. Yeah, I should just start messing around with some more concept illustration stuff just to kind of feel out these spaces some more. But yeah, like I want the mountain to kind of feel like super steep where it's just like, yeah, don't even bother trying to climb it. It's all about going through this space. Ooh, actually, and so maybe there's like 3 on this side, because I have planned like 7 stages, 7 levels or floors. So maybe you have like 7 of these like statues, and then when you finish one of those floors, like the eyes light up or something like that, just a visualization of completing it. I need to start designing it too, because it'd be cool to have them kind of reflect what the boss is going to be on the stages. I hate me sometimes. Yeah, it's like I want that intimidation of something that's like stronger. Like this place is, I want like this ominous feel, but you can get through it. for like the player. But yeah, definitely want like this like really cool vibe. Maybe the seventh one is just kind of eraser. The seventh one is just kind of like right up above. It's like the final boss. Yeah, like Shadow of the Colossus did a pretty cool job where like the statues crumble. But yeah, even like fading it would be cool. Getting lit up, breaking apart. There's a lot of cool ideas, which is great. That can be tackled with that for sure. And so maybe these are all like indented in a little bit. And it's, probably like they probably just make a lot of use of archways. So we can have these as like separate archway shapes. So stages go up the mountain. Yeah, there's 7 in total. And I'll reveal the themes later on when I get to them. I already have like ideas for the themes, but yeah, the general idea is one to ascend the mountain for riches. Just keeping it simple for like the story, and the main character just wants to attain that kind of vibe. So I kind of like this. But yeah, I like the stages of the levels. I don't want it to be like level 1, level 2, all the way to like level 7. Because that's just like kind of boring. And I have some ideas for like some of the structural elements, but just so you don't have to like constantly go through. If you leave to town, I want to make sure that there's like some shortcuts that are created. Like if you access up to a certain point, then you unlock like a ladder or a rope or an elevator of some sort to carry you, fast travel you to the later areas, so you can like, you don't have to fight through like if you're at level 5, you don't have to fight through levels 1 through 4 all the time. That there are like some shortcuts throughout in order to speed it up, so you feel a little bit more welcomed to leave, go to town, resupply, stock up, and go back in. Let's take a look at that floor plan again. Yeah. So there's like another gate right here. And it starts leading into like the huts. Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna try to hide it. Like, so what I was thinking of for the different stages, it's the different chakra charts, like the different levels of it, and so that's kind of like the theme that I'm going with. And because there's like a lot of cool, interesting stuff with each of the chakras, with shape language, color choices, foods, the symbols, and all that kind of stuff. And I can make use out of all that for each of the different levels, and even just like the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, like adding a little bit of that, because I wanted something different than just like the elements or whatever other common ones that you see in like a lot of games. And I thought this would be cool because each level, like the color, the primary color is there, and I can make use out of like all of this kind of stuff, and it'd be pretty cool, I think. So that's kind of like the idea overall. And then I think about it, maybe I should have it where maybe it's just like one statue, but it's just like 7 of them piled up. Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the other thing I have to think about too, is how do I want to level the character up? Because like I'm still trying to like make, and I think I just need to write it down, but I'm keeping it super simple at first. But I don't know if I want in the end to have the character level up like a traditional RPG where like stat bonuses and all that. Though it would be cool if it was a little more freeform, like a Dark Souls, where you just get points and you can allocate it to whatever stats you want. But I was even thinking, well, maybe I could just keep it like Monster Hunter kind of vibe, where like really the player is leveling up, but you can level up your gear. And that's why I wanted like crafting in for like the weapons and armor, so that as you're going around, each stage has different creatures, different minerals, different flora, fauna kind of vibe, and you use that in order to craft the gear that will get you leveling up for that stage, and then the next one will give you like higher level stuff and what have you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let's split you up there. So 7. So maybe you can do kind of like a totem pole thing where they're kind of like very designed, and they're like piled up on each other. Well, like originally I was like, oh man, like I could have her like, you can craft armor and change the look of the armor, and then I was like, Josh, stop, like let's simplify it. Like I have no problems like designing and modeling different shields and swords, because then you could just like, you could easily swap that geometry as long as the shape is very similar for the caging, and the animation could still be the same, and that's why I was like, let's just keep it like simple sword and shield, and then you level up the sword for your attack damage, and it'd be nice to see the visual change also. Like you work hard for like this new sword, and like you want to show off like of how like rocking you are with that, and want new shields for like the upping your defense kind of vibe. So that's kind of like the idea, and maybe some weapons they'll have like a paralysis kind of thing, or poison, just to have some conditional effects, so that it shakes up the combat a little bit more, so it's not just a numbers game between attack and defense. And maybe just like some designs. I probably will. That's something that I'll have to play around with in order to see what it's going to be financially viable in the game system, the game engine. And that's why, for example, like when I designed the character, I'm like, okay, let's simplify her design, because if you look at like the slideshow, for example, this is very different from my typical style. But I wanted to like simplify the shape language some, so it wasn't going to take me forever just to model one character. And because I have to think of also the NPCs and the villagers and the buildings, and like, even though the buildings I'm going like the tougher route, but I want like these cool artsy shapes to it. But yeah, like it'll be interesting. And like I don't want the player to have access to like the blacksmith right away, for example. Like there'll be a quest or something like while you're going through the first floor that the blacksmith is like trapped somewhere and you have to rescue him, and once you rescue him, then you unlock like blacksmithing. And so I can build up those kinds of systems based on instead of you having access to it all right away, so it's like too much, that you unlock them as you rescue those NPCs. Because the smith might be like, I need some minerals, and no adventurers are like coming in right now, so I gotta go myself. No, it's not to, sorry, like when I say the financially viable, it's the finance in memory. So if there's a lot with the geometry and the textures and it's already bogging it down, the particles are just going to make it a lot worse. And so that's where it's kind of a playing game, and that'll come with once I get into the game engine and the full 3D stuff. So for now, I'll definitely plan for it, because like right now I'm just dealing with all of the artwork. And once I have like the main character modeled and rigged, then I can start playing around with the movement and the feel of the character, and then slowly build up from there. Like I definitely plan this, like I don't expect this game I'm planning a demo to get done at some point. As long as like by this summer I have like a little bit of like the movement mechanics of the character, I'm gonna be feeling super happy. And I don't expect to be super far by the end of the year, but like at least this will be like a really fun journey in exploring this concept. So that's what I'm pumped about. Different bosses piled up. Oh yeah, that's what I have to do this weekend too, is start planning more of the game design document, so I know what like the different bosses are going to be on the different levels, so I can like kind of start messing around with the design some. Yeah, because I still have the 10-pager I'm working on right now, and then there's the beat chart, which would be talking about like different stages and what's going to be in there. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm actually like really excited about this project. I haven't been this excited for one of my personal projects in like a long time. Hey, how's it going, Marina? Or Crombie Zombie? Yeah, I'm back to streaming again. I'm keeping it simple, Mondays and Fridays, so I don't burn myself out and get too tired or overworked. Keep my projects a little more simple too. So yeah, I'm in designing a video game, a 3D game. So something more simple than that, like Four Goddesses one, like which I will go back to at some point. Because I like the idea for that story also, but this gave me an opportunity to do something a little bit simpler based. So, and there's like the lake is over here, and maybe like the mountain range is just like off into the distance. Kind of have this like Montana states feel where it's like mountains all over. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, I really like the other one you had. Doing okay. Oh, that's good. Like, well, I hope it's just like that over exaggeration of dying on the inside. I'm doing well. But yeah, I definitely do like that other project, and I will get back to that at some point. It was just like after doing the art book, I just wanted to work on like one project, and I was like, let's make a game. Why not? Like, I'm gonna have some fun with it. Under exaggeration. And like I was originally first thinking of like building that idea into a game, but it was just when I simplified it, it was still like a little on the big side. And it'll probably be a follow-up after once I get this one done. This idea. So, because this one's a little bit simpler. Because it's just like, even though it's 7 stages, it's just one location, this mountain. While that one, it's kind of like this continent with 5 different like countries, and I want these like little towers and all that kind of stuff. Like the idea that I already have, that I'm like really sunken into with the lore and the vibe of it, it would be a bigger project than this. And I want to go a little simpler, though I could have played a little smarter and gone with like a 2D game and keep it even simpler than that, which I could still possibly do, but I don't know. Like, I'm kind of thinking maybe 3D. Like, I want to do 3D because I'd like to move the camera around and use 3D space for some maybe possible puzzles and what have you. How's work going with the studio? Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm definitely like really excited with this. Cuz I'm definitely walking how I talk. Kind of deal with like keeping it simple, and whenever I start like going a little too much, I'll just like tone it down. And it's getting me out of my comfort zone, like doing a lot of like right now a lot of environment stuff, because I'm more of a character guy, for those that don't know me. Yeah, I'm more of a character guy, and so like these environments, I'm a lot slower just because I'm not as experienced in doing them. But like I've done some stuff for studios, but I've been mostly like a character animator. So get some like clouds in here. So we have this, and we have like the village area. And I don't know. Maybe these are all like little broken areas, and maybe there used to be like rooms, but it's just like a landslide or just like crumbled. Just like a big mess. Yeah, well, at least most studios give you like 3 months in order to kind of like get up to speed, which is like enough time. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are a little bit more lenient right now, because it's a little bit more difficult to work with like junior animators or what have you, because of all the work from home. Because that's a struggle that some of the studios have like been vocal about. Because the juniors, you want, like the new people, you want them like in the space to interact with the intermediate and the senior workers, just in order to learn from them, hover over their shoulder and stuff like that. So, but yeah, 3 months is their usual of like just hoping that people get like up to speed. But yeah, do your best. You'll be fine. Well, congrats. And hey, you're still there. That means you're doing all right. So, yeah, it's difficult if you're not used to it, for sure. If you have trouble like motivating time. Lifetime? Oh man, what was I? When did I say Lifetime again? Oh, Lifetime Junior Animator. Okay. Well, usually as like a junior animator or designer or whatever, you have like 3 months in order to, get up to pace. But yeah, it's the lifespan of a junior animator, 3 months. But yeah, it's usually like plenty of time. But yeah, definitely like working from home, it's difficult for a lot of artists in general, because it's very easy to get distracted and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the lifespan of World War I photographer was 1 week. Man, that must have been like crazy to deal with. Yeah, I'm sure you're doing better than what you think. It's usually the case, and yeah, in school you're always like that too. So, I believe in you. And you'll get more confident in time. So, yeah, so I'm looking at some ruins on my other monitor here for reference, just to go through. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's because like, it's like as an introvert, by default you don't have like a high expectation of yourself, and like I'm talking about me as well when I describe that, like, or a generic introvert. And it took a long time for me to have like build up the confidence that I have. Like I hope it's not like overconfidence, because I don't want to sound like a real asshole or anything. But yeah, it like when you get to that point where the jobs start coming to you, it's such a feel good moment, and that's usually when like the good confidence like really creeps in nicely. And that took me like 13 years until that finally happened. Because even when I was like starting to teach, I still had like that fear in the back of my head of like, I better have my portfolio ready just in case something happens and I'm let go soon. Like it was always in the back of my head. So, but yeah, you'll find your stride, and it usually takes a little while, like getting used to the feel of a show, because every single show that you're gonna work on, they're all gonna have like a different kind of vibe or feel of how they want the keys set up and the movements. Because some of them it might be a little bit more like mechanical, of like 4 frames to antic, no, like 6 frames antic, 4 frames action, 8 frames overshoot into the settle, and blah blah blah. If not, Army's always looking for photographers. Oh wow, it's already 11:15. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see here. I'm just gonna quickly go check out Trello. So I've got her post sheet on the works. Turnaround hasn't started yet. Same with her expressions. Starting weapon and shield, that is designed. So I still have to do like the thing. So I'm still doing concept of the outside. Yeah. Yeah, I knew that was going to be like a big struggle for you. It's very different from your usual. But what the nice thing is, like, think of it as like a starting point in order to help you get to working on productions that have some of that like gore and all that kind of stuff. So look to some of those other studios, like oh man, what's the studio that does like the Castlevania series and all that? Produced by Frederator Studios. Directed, voices, composer. The studio is Powerhouse Animation. Yeah, so like just when you know that your contract is letting up, just start doing some more drawing stuff, and like apply to places that would, like Powerhouse Animation or whatever, that kind of has a little bit more of that vibe that you go for. But mind you, at Powerhouse, it's very anatomically heavy. But what you might want, it might be a little bit more of a like a smaller indie like studio kind of vibe. I'm trying to think of like what places have kind of like a little cartoonier style, but like gory. So yeah, now I'm just muddling around with this one. So you know what? Let's just start tightening up the drawing. I'll do that after. Oh, that's the backside. Whoops. Yeah, this weekend I'm so looking forward to just relaxing and arting it up. Not having to deal with anything with work or having a D&D plan. Well, I should do some D&D planning for game next week. But yeah, I'm going to spend some time working on the game design document and some artwork and chill. Some exercise. Because I skipped out on today. And I kind of feel horrible about it. But it was a crazy day. Oh, no. No, yeah, I have enough players. I wanted to keep the player base a little on the lower end. So we have 5 players, and we've been playing this campaign for over a year now. It was a year by the beginning, like the beginning to mid-November. In this campaign that I DM with, and then a friend started DMing Storm King's Thunder and invited me to be a player. So that one's a nice one. It's where I can just like chill a little bit more. And it happens to be on the Sunday of when I DM the Saturday game. But yeah, if I end up DMing any other games, I'll consider it. But it's, it's going to be doubtful just because I'm definitely wanting time for working on this for sure. It's a lot of work planning, but yeah, like the players, they're like super awesome. We've been playing every second weekend. The story is pretty cool. I'm super pumped about it. Yeah, and it's original story idea from me, so it's not like one of the modules. And it's based in this fantasy world that I have. Actually, I have one of the, like, pre-COVID, I have these like 2 foot by 3 foot maps So here's kind of like the main level world. I'm trying to see on camera. And so they're on this continent, and in the past year they've kind of explored, I think it's this tiny bit right here, and they're starting to do some travel to go to a capital city that's over here, and they'll have access to be able to go around the world and do stuff once they get like a boat and everything. Just earlier levels, I didn't want them like going like super crazy all over the place. And yeah, it's one of those things like I shot myself in the foot with having it so big. Like if I was smart, I would have had the story like in one like country area or like 2 or 3 countries and leave it at that. But no. Because apparently I like to do things super big. But yeah, it's what's funny was at the 1 year mark they kind of hit kind of like what I would consider like the end of season 1, if it was like a TV show or something like that. So that's been pretty cool. So they're still figuring that out, to be honest. They've kind of bypassed a lot of things. So there is what they have dealt with is there's this group, they call themselves the Shifting Coin, and they believe that the Shifting Coin were bad guys and managed to take out basically their leader, and that was like the end of season 1, and it kind of opened up a lot more of the story. And there was a TPK at one point, but I turned it into kind of like a story element where the goddess of fate kind of like saved their butts in a way. And when they're having their when they saw their lives flashing before their eyes, they had access to be able to gather information, because I had it where the way that they were seeing their life flash before their eyes, they were like in this space of void, and there was like nothing. And then all of a sudden there was like these paintings that were just appearing. These were like giant paintings that were floating and spinning around, and each painting had like a part of their life that was important to them. And whenever a new memory came up, a new painting would appear that would have that. Well, like the Shifting Coin, they never figured out what was involved with them, but they were going up against this. Well, they kind of got some ideas. So they encountered this woman named Jade, and she was a paladin, but she was trying to bring back one of the old gods who was locked up in this prison. And same with it was like an old god of sins, and the old god was also going to bring back his children, like one of each of the sins. And so they ended up fighting against Jade and her minions, where each of them was an embodiment of one of them, one of the sins. And that was like pretty cool, because that took like a bunch of games as they're going through, and I had this map with like 2 levels and all that kind of stuff. And the map ended up, when you look at the 2 levels combined, it forms kind of like a magic circle of sorts. So the structure was kind of part of the spell in order to bring this old god back. And so they stopped that from happening, but along the way they were asking themselves like, are we the bad guys? Because it seems like we're the bad guys right now. which is kind of what I wanted them to go through. And then this NPC that they've been going around with, that they've traveled with for a little while, they caught a vision of when they finished Jade off, where this NPC was around some other NPCs that they never encountered yet, and they were kind of like looking down on Jade, as Jade was like in her past, basically like cursing them, kind of deal. So right now, with like the whole threat of Jade being done, they're working our way to one of the capital cities of a neighboring country, because one of the characters just has an all-out hate for this country that they're in right now, because like it's like everything bad is associated with it, so they just want to leave. And one of the players is big on research and libraries, and they heard that there's like this big library in this capital city, so they're going over there. So nobody's greedy enough to release the old god and get his name tattooed for it. No, but like they had the opportunity to. And actually, like the player who is big on books and research, he has 5 copies of their gospel, their book of the gospel of this old god of Ulmamun, that he still has on his character. And actually, like I wrote like a little blurb of what is like in the book, kind of deal. And so they're traveling along, and they are realizing that there's something strange going on with the water. Like the rivers are starting to behave funky and weird, and one of them's a druid, and on the ship that they're traveling on, there's this NPC who's very attuned to nature and the elements, and so he's kind of having a hard time standing and move around. He's trying to describe like how it's like everything's like funky and off balance. And I was worried that the party were gonna be like murder hobos early on, just because they had a side quest in order to, like, I basically had a trading game set up where the quest, they need to get an item, but to get that item, the person that wants it, that has it, wants something else, and so they have to go to the other place that has that item that he wants, but they're willing to give it up as long as they get something else. And so like there was like this little chain reaction thing, and so the druid just used like it happened to be like some bark of some sort, or wolfsbane or something like that. And so the druid just used fine plants and located it right away, and just like went right to the guy. And the player he plays the character really well, because like they had an interaction with this homeless person that actually had the item that they needed, but when the druid character was trying to make a trade, he was trying to offer something that like to him is precious but wasn't precious to the homeless person. And like I'm very open with thinking outside the box. Like I do a lot of, like I go into the game prepared to do a lot of improv because of how crazy and wild that players can take games. And I always want the players to feel like they have a lot of freedom in what they're going to do, as long as they're willing to accept the consequences of their actions, whatever it may be. And so when the homeless person was like taking off, because he was kind of like, you know what, you're not giving me what I want, You're wasting my time. Good day. And so the druid, this halfling druid, he turns to the Goliath and basically told the Goliath, oh, so they have like, I try to make sure like the players have freedom in control of where they want their characters to go and do. Yeah, so so the homeless person took off, and the halfling druid turned to the Goliath barbarian and basically said to the barbarian, he insulted us when he didn't really insult them. He kind of just didn't want what he was offering, and so he took it as an insult. And so the barbarian's like, okay, tried to go stop him. The elf ranger of the group got in a way to let the guy take off, but the barbarian took a javelin and just meant to throw it in order to like stop him from moving, but did so much damage that just instant killed him. And it was like in the middle of this city, and so it was just like, I'm like, oh my god, they're murder hobos. And so there was like this big ordeal that I had of story in the city, and they were like, we need to get out of the city now after they turned in the quest. And so once they left, they as they were beginning their journey of leaving this town and like expecting to not come back for like until things calmed down, and they took a side quest that took them across the country. So they were like, it was going to be like about a 2-week travel to get there and a 2-week travel back. And they never actually got around to doing that quest because that's when they encountered Jade and all that kind of story stuff. So as they were leaving, they found out that this halfling druid is only like a 17-year-old boy. Yeah. So when they skewered the homeless man, it was like in this area. It was called the Greens, and it's kind of like, it used to be this big park, but it got taken over by homeless people and drug addicts and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like this big park of tents and drunk people and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was an interesting time. And so all the story that I had written up of like what was going to happen and transpire and build up while they were there, that went out the window the moment that happened. And luckily, like by the time they left the town, it was the end of that session, so it gave me time in order to plan ahead of what is going on next. But yeah, it's been a really really interesting group, and the one thing I really like about the group is I don't feel like I have to be the one that carries the story. There have been some games where they love to. No, I'm up in Northern Ontario, and the players are awesome, because there have been the odd game where I just set up the scene, I sit back, and they RP for like hours, and there have been the odd game where they do so much more than what I do. And I'm just like writing down notes because they start revealing some elements of the character they never revealed to me, and so I can use that in the story later on, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been awesome. Oh, Inspiration Valley. No, actually, like just in general, like big cities, because like that's common in a lot of big cities, or even like smaller sized ones. Because campgrounds, they're like parks and whatnot. It's just big, open, grassy, like safer spaces, usually close to the downtown region, which is where usually a lot of the homeless get attracted to because of panhandling and all that. So. But yeah, it was it's been an interesting game for sure. Like there hasn't been a single game out of the 30 some odd sessions that we've had where I was like laughing my head off. How many games do we have? So I have 34 plus there were 2 like pre-games, so 36 games. But yeah, it was like a port town. And so what really touched me like a lot was while they were traveling and interacting with Jade and all that, and they had their TPK and came back to life thanks to a goddess because they need the players' help, but they can't tell the players what they need help with. That's for the players to figure out. And so when they eventually finished Jade off, they went back to Port Tanzeron, which is where they killed Stinky Steve. That's the homeless guy's name. His nickname was Stinky Steve, but he was just Steve. And so the druid, we ended a session before they just arrived back into the town. They were at like a campsite right before getting back to Port Tanzeron. And so the player that played the druid, he messaged me on the side and he's like, my character is going to go ahead of the group and do some stuff in town before they arrive. And I was like, cool. And so we had like a side session then. So that actually, I forgot to count that one. So that's 37 games. And since the elf hunter, she would probably notice him taking off. We talked to her that, yeah, like when this character is on watch that night, he's going to be taking off, and would your character follow up with him? And she said, yeah. So I had like a little side quest thing with them. And so what was touching was one of the things that he wanted to do is like he showed like some really nice character growth. So he finally hit a level where he learned the plant growth spell. So he went back to the park area and he went to like the spot that Steve was skewered, and he planted a seed from this Lita fruit tree, which is an important like family tree. The Lita fruit is kind of like his family's legacy, and so he planted the seed at that location. He used plant growth to grow this like large tree that was sprouting all these Lita fruit to create some free food for the populace and create this like beautiful moment. And then there were some things that he finally got to experience that I had prepared story-wise for like his character's personal story. So I have like an overall story and then the individual character stories, just so that there's a little bit more flavor, and it gives some opportunity for growth in what the individual characters are going to do on top of like the main story. But it also depends on when they get to those certain parts. Lita, Leda, not Lolita. It's just like a fruit that he just made up, and I was like, so what does the fruit look like? And he's like, it's like dragon fruit. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm down with that. So when he grew the fruit, and he was like, is there fruit like on the tree? I'm like, yep. And he was like super happy, proud of himself. He had this like character growth moment that he was trying to right the wrongs that he caused at this place in this town. And then he took a bite out of the Lita fruit, and he was like, I need the seeds. So, whatever you eat, like give me the seeds. And because the seeds are important to him, because he's trying to spread the seeds of these Lita fruits across the country, because it's kind of passing on his grandmother's legacy. And so when everybody like dived in, they were all seedless. And then when I tasted it, instead of having this like very sweet, like fruity taste, I was like, it tastes like it's rotten, even though like on the outside it looks like beautiful, and like cracking it open, it looks beautiful on the inside. And so he just like the player turned to me, is like, you ruined this beautiful moment. And I'm like, well, if you did this a little earlier, you would have experienced this earlier. But it's like, it's a part of his character story, and he managed to find out that the Lita trees and the fruits, they're cursed, but they don't know who like they don't know the details quite yet. But so like he's hit a progress point of his personal story, and he has to figure that out. And his character is dreading having to go back to his old home on the farm, because he kind of like ran away. So we'll see like what happens when he eventually does that, because I know he will. At some point he'll fight it, but passing on his grandma's legacy is more important to them than anything else. So like he will bite the bullet and do that. So that'll be like, it'll be an interesting story moment. Okay. I kind of don't like those wooden pieces. Let's make it more like stone. But yeah, the main story there, when the characters started out, I didn't want to do that typical, like, you start in a bar and you meet up with these other adventurers that were hired in order to do the same thing that you're going to do, and blah blah blah. So they kind of started off in what felt like a dream-like state, but they found out that they actually, like, it was the afterlife, and they were like escaping this this kind of like possible death, and they eventually found out about that through some other story elements later on. And they all woke up in this like destroyed underground place, which they never went back to, so they never found out what it was yet. And they'll find some answers. There's like a bunch of these kinds of locations throughout the world, and they will eventually encounter them and get some of those story elements. But yeah, they were like all strangers, and they happen to be sharing this same experience. So right now they're trying to figure out what is common among each of them. But what's great is the characters, they're like so attached with each other. They're kind of like a little family now. So like they can do no wrong for each other, and they'll have each other's backs. So like I know that their relationships, the characters with each other, are like super strong, which is great. It's so great when the players hit that kind of moment. But yeah, like right now I'm just clean lining, running away from the loft. Yeah, well, when they had the big TPK, total party kill, for those that might not know what that means, they were reunited with, well, like they met the goddess of fate, and at the very end when they were kind of like brought back, the goddess of fate greeted them with a different title for each of them. So there's the son of fire, son of earth, daughter of wind, daughter of water, and the son of arcane. And it's kind of like the elements of this world, and so they're trying to like figure out what that's all gonna mean. And what is happening now is I'm finally able to bring in, because of all their like side adventuring, finally bringing them back into this the main story concept idea. So they're starting to get close to what's going to help give them more information on what that's all about. So which will help like open up the next big chapter in the overall story. So yeah, and one of the other players is a halfling ranger who's kind of like from the swamps, and I put it into her backstory which like she never knew her parents at all, but I put it in the backstory because like since her character is from these swamps, and I had some stuff with hags, so like her mother was a hag. And so when she found out about that, that's like brought up some questions with the group and all that kind of stuff, which has been pretty cool. Oh no, like all the guys are actually playing guys, and then girls are playing girls. So one of them's a married couple, and out of the married couple, the wife plays the halfling ranger, and then the husband plays a gnome wizard. And here, I'll show you like the concepts of the characters. Do I have... Oh, I think I know where I put them. Start you. D&D parties, Thundertones. Here we go. So here's kind of like the characters for like season 1 of how they look. And with their encounter with Jade, because Jade had basilisk pets, and during their first encounter, they killed Jade's pets, and then their second encounter, they killed Jade's pets again, which then resulted in Jade going berserk and just doing the TPK. And she ended up petrifying the goose, and she ended up making the catfish and the frog into soup, which then when the party woke up from their like many days of unconsciousness after the TPK, they ended up eating that soup, and then it was revealed to them that it was like their pets. And the barbarian just felt upset and annoyed, because he said from day one that he was going to eat the catfish at some point, and it was just like some really horrible slop. He was like, no, he needed to be like this big thing. And the owl is just a summoned familiar kind of deal. So I still have to design the characters in their like season 2 looks, but I do have the barbarian the Goliath designed, which looks like, no, not you, not that folder. Which I was messing around with like a different style, but this is like his season 2 look. He has, which he now has a different axe. But yeah, he has a Manticore cloak. They actually like hunted down a Manticore and made a cloak out of it. And he has like this big snake skull from a giant snake, which even has like some bones on the armor going down like the one arm. Oh yeah. Like I just went big. Like when I was designing this, when I did this drawing, I was looking at oh man, what's that artist's name again? It's this artist that does like a lot of like angular stuff. I'm just looking on my likes and collections here. ArtStation. Oh yeah. So Tenzi Hui. And I don't even know if like that's the proper way to pronounce it. But I was looking at this guy's artwork, and I was just like trying to think of like some big triangular shapes with it. And that was kind of like the vibe that I was using when I was creating the drawing. And then I just let it be afterwards. So like the one great axe is colorful. It's I have like this like they can craft and make their armor, and actually have like a spreadsheet set up in order to do that. And so it's out of like 2 Axebeak creatures and one other creature for some of the other bones. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So. But anyways, I will be right back. Just going to the bathroom real quick. And I'm back. It's a little chilly. Yeah, well, in the end, he ended up getting the axes crafted into one. And one of the things that I wanted to set up with this game was that each, like when you're playing D&D, like your weapon is like super important to your character. And I wanted to set it up where like they got these artifact weapons that kind of leveled up and get like new abilities. And so for him, he ended up going to a smithy who kind of like took all of his axes and just like formed this new axe for him, which ended up being like the first form of his like cool weapon. Oh yeah, not a problem. It's a minute where I'm at. But yeah, Max Magnus, thanks for hanging out, and hope you have a good night's rest. Thanks for the chatting, and I'll be streaming next on Monday. Continue on with wherever I get left off here, and I'll probably I should have more of my design document figured out. But yeah, much appreciated. Good night. And so what's everybody else doing right now? Anything fun or interesting? Being set on WoW. Are you in like a raid and just messing up, or? Yeah, actually I haven't hopped in like since I got to Ardenweld. I should put a little bit of time in order to mess around this weekend. Mythic Key stuff. Oh man, it feels like I haven't clean lined anything in forever. This feels a little weird. Let's get the character. Scholar. So I'm just getting her concept on the other screen here, so I could draw her a little more accurately. big old scarf. Get the buns. Yeah, I gotta do laundry this weekend also. Ugh. I'm actually pretty pleased with what I managed to get done on today's stream. So I don't need you open now, or you. I'm gonna slide chat over more to the webcam. Yeah, I'm getting, I think part of why I'm getting excited too is because I'm getting close to where I can start doing some 3D models. Just to, because I'm getting close to having the game element stuff being created. Oh yeah, if Marina's still around, are you still working on your little like game project thing that you were showing me? And hey, I totally get it if you stopped since you were working because of, you know, getting drained and all that. That is common. Yeah, I'm glad I'm sticking with this like little simpler shapes, cartoonier kind of vibe, just to keep my own sanity. Alright, yeah, these trees have kind of like some mushrooms on them. Or fungus. Yeah. I have no idea what to talk about. I kind of get a little guilty whenever it's like silence. But yeah, I'm gonna probably close it down soonish. Fortitude to just cruise through clean line. The one thing that I find that helps out a lot is I started using a thicker brush, and I kind of like plan ahead before I put the line down. And part of it comes with experience too, because like I'm so accustomed to, if there's like an air gap behind a line, like if it's like the form rotates around, I give a thicker line, and then thinner lines I just kind of have them like break apart and do their thing. And it's just like it's not perfect. Like I'm the first to say that, for sure. But I kind of like go through and just look for big open areas where it feels like texture needs to be tossed in there. Because like I could throw some texture in here, in here. This is looking a little empty. This is a big empty space. So like I'm gonna go back there later on. But that's how I kind of treat adding texture in, is just looking for those empty spaces that needs a little bit more support. But yeah, like I used to use a thinner brush, and it used to take me so much longer. And this kind of forces me to have a little bit more control, but also to be like accepting of it being a little more carefree. So even though I don't know if the final lines are going to be in the background in the end. And I could do like another pass with the liner, with the pencils and everything, just to tighten up the shapes a little bit more, but I'm just letting it be a little more loose, because these are meant more to be as concept pieces for like the idea. Yeah. And that's usually what I do, but I started clean lining it, so I might as well finish it. And it's been a long time since I clean line, so it's nice to clean line a piece here and there, just in order to show, like, still build up those skills, because you never know when you're working on a project that you need to. But yeah, that's kind of usually what I do, is I just go straight to cleaning my my rough clean drawings, like adding color, and maybe I'll like tighten up the odd line here and there, or when I'm doing the rough clean, I'll just kind of erase out the really rough stuff and leave it at that. But I don't know, in my head I'm just like, let's start clean lining. But now that you mention it, I'm like, yeah, I could have just done that. So let's give like a ground shadow. Ooh, actually, that's right. Because I had the lighting where it was kind of like lighting her back. Because, like, if I get in close here, like, it's not even, but I kind of like that little bit of a texture feel. So yeah, so like this tree, for example, can use like a little bit more. And I can just go in with the eraser and just clean that up a little. Yeah, because right now I'm just kind of like, I don't want to clean up anymore right now. But yeah, so I just at least want to get like a little bit more done before I call it quits for the night. And I think this is why I've always gotten annoyed with doing backgrounds because it takes me forever to complete them. So it's just that impatience, which is hard to fight sometimes. Clean line, yeah, it's not an easy thing, that's for sure. So maybe in here there's some curtains. Well, actually, I don't want them to be like fancy curtains, like maybe just like sheets that are just like hanging, and it's like just darkness on the inside. Should be a little bit wider. And another post that's coming out like here. I have mass respect for people who can clean line all those really detailed BGs. Yeah. Oh, man. So do I. So do I. Yeah, it's definitely a huge amount of patience for sure. Slowly coming along. So. And let's get some more like mossy shapes onto this tree here. Yeah, but overall, I think it's coming along okay. But yeah, considering that the past 3.5 hours did all these, did this, and started clean lining, I think that's pretty good for one evening. So, well, you know what? I'm gonna call it here. So, thank you very much for everybody that came by. So Max Magnus, who's gone already, Matt, Marina, and if Heather's still kicking around, thank you very much. And anybody else that is out there on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook watching. Have yourself a good night, and I'll see you Monday.